All right, welcome in. It is the Breer Report for April the 10th. This is going to be a mailbag edition. We are exactly 2 weeks away from the first day of the NFL draft. Can't wait to dive into all this stuff with you guys over the next couple of weeks. We will have plenty of video content, podcast content, print content coming. And we have a print mailbag for you this week to get to a lot more of your questions. You can check that out on the mmqb.com. But as usual, we're going to get to a few of your questions here on the video mailbag. And the first question for this week comes from Organics. That's at Zero Organics. Would the Raiders really take a running back when they are probably staring a good offensive tackle in the face, maybe a defensive tackle? Chip Kelly is probably guaranteed an Ohio State guy in the second round. Of course, Chip Kelly came from Ohio State. So Jeanty seems odd. This is on the heels, of course, of the Raiders having a whole bunch of top draft prospects at their facility for 30 visits the other day. Ashton Jeanty was among them. I think Ashton Jeanty has a good shot, not a sure thing, but a good shot to go in the top 10, viewed by some people among the top 3 players in the draft with Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter. And Organics, I'd mostly agree with you that I don't know that the Raiders right now are in a position to draft a running back that high. I look at where they are from a roster standpoint, and unless you see Jeanty is just that much better than the rest, and the other thing is they're not in position to just pass on a great player. If they feel like he is that much better, then I think you have to swallow hard and take him. But, the way I see it, I think they still have to build the guts of that team up. And so if I'm the Seahawks in this scenario, and sitting there at number 6, my feeling would be I hope that somebody, like Mason Graham or Will Campbell or Jalen Walker is there for me. I'm not sure which one they prefer. At least one of those 3 will be available to them. But I think you're in a spot right now where you build up the lines of scrimmage. A lot of people have looked at it and said, well, it's Pete Carroll. He invested in Marshawn Lynch. He took Rashad Penny in the first round. He's a big believer in the run game, so a running back would be in play. And I would agree with all of that. I just think, with this sort of high-end capital at this point of their build, they really do need to shore up the lines of scrimmage. So they do have some pieces on the lines of scrimmage, of course, with Max Crosby and Christian Wilkins on the offensive or on the defensive front, and with Colton Miller, who's a little older now, and Jackson Powers-Johnson on the offensive front. I think adding to that is probably the smartest thing right now for them. And then, like you said, there's a lot of depth in the running back class, so they could come back and get one of the Ohio State running backs, get a Quishon Judkins or maybe a Travion Henderson at the top of the second round, or wait and look at somebody in the third or fourth round. They're going to be good players at that position, I think, through the first 4 rounds of the draft. So again, unless you see Jeanty is that much better than everybody else that's on the board for you, I think you focus on building up the guts of the team if you're the Raiders. Question number 2 from Michael Balderas. That's at Mike Balderas, at Mike Balderas 277. How true are the rumors of Hampton going in the top 15? Top 15 feels a little rich for me. I think Omarion Hampton's a really, really good player. Now, I think whether or not he's closer to Ashton Jeanty or the next 3 guys, the 2 Ohio State guys that we mentioned, Henderson and Judkins, and then Caleb Johnson from Iowa, where, is he closer to the top? Is he closer to the pack? I think you can have a good argument there. I think he's worthy of a first round pick. I'm not sure it happens in the top 15 picks. To me, I'd say somewhere in the 20s probably makes the most sense for Hampton. Again, it only takes one. One team could love him. The dynamics of this draft make it so once you get past Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter, there's this big clump of players and different people are going to see them different ways. And so you're going to approach the draft a little bit differently. And maybe somebody there in the teens decides to take a swing at him. But I think most of the league would expect him to go somewhere in the 20s. That'd be my guess, at least. And part of the dynamic, part of the thing that hurts him here, it's not that he's not a great player. It's that running back thing where it's too easy to fill that position out, especially in a year like this year, which is probably the best running back class since 2017, when Leonard Fournette and Christian McCaffrey and Dalvin Cook and Joe Mixon were in the draft. It's that level of class. So my feeling, Hampton probably somewhere in the 20s. Question number 3 from Major Hawk. That's at Major Hawk 1962. Does it make any sense for the Jets to draft Tyler Warren at 7? Yes, it does. Again, the Jets are one of these teams that is in a position where you look at it, you've got a nice base of talent. They're not quite where the Patriots and Raiders are, where it's just like we need like great players everywhere. So like if you can get a great player, get them. The Jets do have a baseline of young talent, guys like Garrett Wilson, Olu Fashanu, Sauce Gardner, Quinnen Williams, Jermaine Johnson. There's a good group of Jamin Sherwood. There's a good group, Reese Hall. There's a good group of young players there. So, like, you might be a little bit more apt if you're the Jets than the teams directly above them to draft for need. So, like, I do think Tyler Warren would make some sense if you're looking for a compliment to Garrett Wilson, and somebody who kind of grow up with him and be, another threat in the offense. I think he makes a lot of sense from that standpoint. So, like, again, like, I don't think the Jets. I don't think the Jets are in exactly the same spot as the Patriots and the Jaguars and the Raiders right in front of them. And I think they can afford, if they have guys graded similarly, maybe to press a need a little bit here. Tight end would be one need for them. I think you could argue they could even still add to their offensive line. Would Armand Membu be a possibility for them? Remember, Aaron Glenn's coming from Detroit, where they built up the lines of scrimmage. They're pretty good on the defensive front. So, yeah, I mean, I think, again, there's a baseline of talent there. And if you have five guys ranked similarly, I love the idea of Tyler Warren being a Jet. And I think it would make a lot of sense for a bunch of different reasons. One of them being that you could argue, is the top offensive weapon in this year's draft. Like, if you're talking about having a guy that a defense is going to have to worry about on every snap as a rookie, this could be that guy. I loved watching him in college, and I think he's going to be a really, really good pro. Appreciate you guys coming out. We actually are going to be on the road the next couple of days, so I'm out the next couple of days, but we will be back next week. Plan on coming hot and heavy with draft content next week. The week after that, of course, is draft week. Can't wait to get all of that to you. Appreciate all your feedback, too. So any feedback you guys have, you can get it to me on Twitter at Albert Breer, at Albert R. Breer on Facebook, at Albert_Breer on Instagram. Love where our views are, where our subscriber count is. Want to keep building that. And we can do that if you guys can give us all the feedback you got on what you like and what you don't like about what we've been doing here. We will see you guys next week.